A table full of components can only mean one single thing. We're going to make a great build today. Let's get started. But before we start this build, remember to subscribe to the channel. It's completely free for you, but it helps me a ton. Let's start by talking about the components, which are pretty subjected to critiques, and I'll explain you why. Let's start with the motherboard. We're going to use a B660 DS3H from Gigabyte. This is entry level. I've made a video about this motherboard. I'm not sure if I've already published or not, but if so, you can check it out right here. Pretty basic motherboard. We're going to pair it with a i3 12100, which is an incredibly powerful CPU, especially for its price tag, which is around 140 euros, but you can also find it for cheaper if you select the F version, which is without an integrated graphics. We're going to use 16 gigs of DDR4 memory. These are XPG, I can't remember the name. These are from XPG, 3200 mega transfer per second. Not the fastest, but still great looking, great performance, so that's pretty good. As for the GPU, which is why I told you this could be controversial, we have an RTX 2070. I know what you're thinking. I know, let me explain. This will be a bottleneck. No, I've already tried it and there is actually no bottleneck whatsoever, which is super interesting because it shows us how powerful the recent generations from Intel are, even on i3. This bad boy draws maximum 185 watts, the processor 82 I think in boost, but I've undervolted both of them, so they should draw even a little bit less without losing any performances. We're going to use the stock Intel cooler since the power is really small from the CPU. And we're going to use a 450 watt PSU from Cooler Master. I know, even here you're thinking, what the heck? You're using a 450 watts PSU for a 2070? Yes, since all things considered, this machine won't draw more than 300 watts. Well, this PSU can output 444 watts at the 12 volt line. It will never reach the maximum capabilities. It won't be stressed at all, because 300 watts is like 70% of the maximum capability, which is great for a PSU. Lastly, we're going to use the DarkFlash Graffiti case, since I like this case. It's very spacious, it supports ATX motherboards, and we're also going to add one or two LED strips, since why not, it looks cool. Enough talking, let's zoom to the motherboard, mount the CPU, and for the SSD we're going to use an NVMe, a 500 one from MTech, the S300. But right now I'm using my personal drive, which is the Kingston KC3000. I haven't said it before, but this build I'm going to sell it, so I'm not gonna use my personal drive, of course, to sell it. Let's get closer and mount this PC. Let's start, of course, by mounting the CPU. This CPU, as I was talking about earlier, is really amazing, since, let me zoom a little bit, it has 4 cores, 8 threads, no efficiency cores since it is entry level, only performance cores, and it can grant great performances at a small price, because this thing new costs only 140 euros, including the graphic processing unit integrated, and you can easily buy the F version if you have an external GPU, so you'll end up spending like 120, something like that, 110. Great value for your money. Let's install the RAM. Of course, we first need to fill the A2 and B2 slots, as is reminded right here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it says B2 A2 first. That's great because you don't have to check the manual, so that's always good. RAM installed, CPU installed. Let's proceed in installing the heatsink. We're going to use the Arctic MX5 thermal paste. I'm going not to make the standard rice shape, but almost a line, since these GPUs are getting pretty long in shape, you know? That's more than enough. We can now install the heatsink itself. Connector is right here, so we're going to install it in this position and press them down. Okay, and as you can see, it's all done. We just need to connect the CPU fan right here, header. And on the motherboard, we're actually good to go for them. Oh no, we need to install the NVMe SSD. So let's move down a little bit in the first NVMe slot, since you want to populate it from top to bottom, not vice versa, because many times the second NVMe slot is a SATA slot and not a proper NVMe connections, which would result in slower connections. By the way, I've organized all my screws for the PC building inside this, like, I think it's made for fishing, but super duper useful, since I can just pick the one I need, which is the NVMe one right here, and I can just use it. There you go. This won't move. So we can now pass to the case, install the PSU. We're going to install it so that the fan is looking downward for a better airflow, of course. Let me take the screwdriver. Where is it? And we just need to screw it in place with the 4 classic screws. So let's do it. This solution for the screws is so comfortable. Let's now pre-arrange the cables, which means the CPU one, we pass it through this hole right here on the top. The 24-pin one, we pass it through this channel right here, upper actually. And the 8+6 pins for the GPU, we make it pass through here as well. Let's also pass the USB 3 header. We can flip the case and install the motherboard. I'm going to try to vertically mount it, like mount it while the case is vertical, because it looks cool on camera, but I may well fail, so let's see. If I manage to do this, you need to subscribe, okay? That's compulsory. I'm going to screw the middle screw first. Oh, by the way, I'm not putting the IO shield, because I still have to find a way around the problem that this motherboard wasn't shipped with one, so yeah, I still have to find a solution right now. I'm probably in the frame, I'm sorry if I am. Middle screw installed. Let's now take an angle so that it won't move anymore. And let's install the GPU. This is actually super easy, since I just need to connect the PCIe extender right here, connected, there you go. And I need to screw the vertical mount in place behind here. As you can see, there are 2 holes. I screw these in place and I'm ready to go. The PC is actually ready. Let's connect it to the power, to the display and so on, and hope it boots first try. Let's get it. So, let's go. Please work first try. It doesn't power on. Fuck me. Let's see if I haven't powered on the PSU. Oh, there you go. That was the problem. It's always that. Why is it yellow? I don't know. The RAM is on, the logo of MSI is on, and we have a video output. Great! As you can see, this is the final result for my build. It looks great, it performs even better. I'm really happy about it. But let's talk about how much I've spent and how much I think I'm gonna make. Sorry for my voice, by the way, but New York City, you know. I've spent 55 euros for the motherboard, 140 euros for the processor, 265 euros for the GPU, 45 euros for the RAM, 50 euros, 55 euros for the PSU. It was brand new a couple of years ago actually, and these are all the parts I had to actually buy. Then I have some parts that was sent me over to review them, such as the case, which is the DarkFlash Graffiti. I actually don't know
how much it costs new, but I would spend around 60 to 70 euros for it, let's say 70 euros. And also the SSD, a 500 gigs one, you can find it for like 50 euros nowadays, so let's say 50 euros, which brings the grand total to 680 euros. For a 4K capable machine, it ain't bad at all. I've currently listed for 960 euros on subito.it and Facebook Marketplace. Even if I had to lower the price to 900 euros, I'd still make 300 euros of profit, 200 if I consider even the parts that I actually didn't pay for, but still, that's pretty great. Let me know what you think about it. Thank you so much for sticking until the end of the video. If you've liked it, leave a like, subscribe and activate the notification bell. And you should also check out the video about the GPU of this build, since I show some benchmarks and you may like it. Thank you so much and I'll see you in a week. Ciao!